So the decisions being made by top brands today are about to impact everyone shooting with almost every type of setup. From lens discontinuations to new innovations in sensor tech, headlines are going deeper than you might expect, so let's jump in. So Nikon's legacy in telephoto lens engineering spans iconic models, but the transition to mirrorless means that some well-loved tools are going away. And according to the photoblogger, Nikon has officially discontinued the AFS Nikkor 80-400 4.5-5 DG ED VR in Japan. Now, this news is coming from retail sources like Map Camera, but right now this lens is still available in the US and on Nikon's official website, but growing signs suggest that a global exit is only a matter of time. Now, this lens was originally launched in 2013. It offers a focal length of 800-400 and a very close focusing distance for that range of 1.75 meters. It's got a 77mm filter thread, 9 aperture blades, and a weight of 1.6 kilograms. Now, despite the reach and the versatility, especially with that not exactly consistent aperture, but close, it's great for wildlife, sports, and adventure shooters. But Nikon's full tilt towards mirrorless makes this retirement logical. The successor for the Z series users is the Z100-400, and reviews of that lens call out its portability and affordability compared to the premium Z 400mm options. It's sharp, it's easy to handle, it's a high quality tool for handheld shooting. But if we zoom out just a little bit, Nikon is steadily discontinuing many of its DSLR lenses visible in listings on eBay as the market and the brand focus shifts towards mirrorless. Tamron's 50-400 f5 to 6.3 is another competitive option as photographers plan their next kit update. But the trend is clear, mirrorless is the path that Nikon believes in most. Next, and sticking with Nikon, it looks like they've got a new full-frame wide-angle zoom in the works, according to patent information found by the photoblogger. The company has filed a patent on July 25th, so just a few days ago, that outlines an 18-24mm f5.6 with internal zoom. And this would be the first native zoom in that focal range for Nikon shooters with dimensions that emphasize compactness. And unlike Nikon's longer range wide angles that are more for APS-C, this is detailed specifically for a full frame camera and might be appreciated for architectural, landscape, and travel shooters who value small glass for those big scenes. And the slower aperture of f5.6 suggests that this would be more appealing for beginners or enthusiasts than necessarily for pros who might be working in low light or environments with a little bit less control. But it could fill a really interesting gap if it's priced affordably. Now, there's always the caveat that these patents don't necessarily guarantee a product launch, but the direction is clear. Nikon is expanding its mirrorless options and wants to keep users in the ecosystem. And if you prefer first-party glass, then this move is worth watching. Now, really quick, I want to mention that this video does have a sponsor, and that sponsor is me. And unless I say otherwise, every video on this channel is backed by my photography business. YouTube ad revenue is nice, but it doesn't keep the lights on. I am a working professional photographer and videographer. This is how I make a living. I specialize in portraits, events, weddings, and photo and video work for small businesses. So if you're in Las Vegas or Southern California and you need a professional to make you or your family or your business look amazing, you can quickly book me on my website. I offer free mini sessions as well as package and daily rates. Busy season is about to hit and I've got my free mini sessions available on my website, so grab your spot before I'm fully booked. Another update on the Nikon side of things, we've got a mock-up for a camera that blends kind of a vintage style with the kind of modern mirrorless technology. And according to Nikon Rumors, a concept for the Nikon Z SP, inspired by Nikon's classic S rangefinder series, has been shared online. This design teases a silver retro-styled Z series body, appealing to nostalgia and curiosity in equal measure. Now, right now, this is purely a mock-up. There's no official indication that Nikon has or will move beyond just concept, but the conversation is interesting. So would you actually use something that's styled after an old rangefinder? If it fit today's mirrorless standards? Let me know down in the comments. Right, Nikon's history runs deep, so I'm curious if a ZSP would motivate anyone to pick up something or return to the Nikon brand. Next, I want to talk about a lens announcement that kind of stands out for affordability and kind of specialty. So according to Petapixel, 7 Artisans has launched their new 75mm f1.4 Portrait Prime lens for full frame mirrorless cameras. But the headline is it's $189. So what makes this especially interesting is the combination of focal length, the bright aperture, and the price. Now, this is a manual lens, but is currently available at that 75 f1.4 for the E, L, RF, and Z mounts. So you have to set everything manually, but it's only 408 grams. With a full metal construction. It's got a 13 blade aperture, and they tout its dreamy bokeh, a feature that's highlighted by the 75mm focal length, which is great for shooting portraits. I shoot traditionally with 85, but I did just recently take the Bright & Star 50mm f.95 out for a bit of a test and did some portrait photography. I've got a full review on that up on the channel. I'll link it above and below if you want to go ahead and take a look. But in context, the competition is dramatically more expensive and sometimes less convenient. For example, the recently released Triptych Chimera 75mm f1.4 is $849, but mounts only on Leica M. And Leica's Noctilux M 75mm f1.25, which is their spherical, is $15,000. Now, TT Artisans offers a similar version at 75mm f1.4 for the micro 4/3 mount. Now that's a specialty lens with Biostar style bokeh. They also offer 75mm f2 version that has autofocus for $200 on the E, L, and Z mounts. But the headline is that native fast 75mm for full frame mirrorless at this price is pretty rare. So if you're looking to pick up a manual portrait lens with some character, it might be something to look at. Now, switching gears to value-oriented wide-angle glass, according to Photo Rumors, Viltrox has officially released its autofocus 15mm f1.7 lens for crop censored cameras. It's compatible with X, E, and Z mounts and priced at $239. Another cheap lens not on the RF mount. Now, while the announcement focuses on the availability and compatibility, the broad focal width makes it kind of a promising option for street and landscape photography, especially considering the fact that it is an autofocus lens. So if you're looking for a wide walk-around lens that doesn't break the bank on a crop censored camera, this might be the newest contender you want to keep on your radar. Next, switching over to Fuji news, the GFX Eterna, which I got a look at NAB, which is a 102 megapixel medium format cinema camera from Fuji, according to Photo Rumors, will be officially released on September 11th, positioned to launch just before the International Broadcast Convention in Amsterdam. Now, this 102 megapixel GFX CMOS 2 HS sensor supports 4K, 6K, and 8K recording and comes with an X processor version 5. The system is GFX mount, but Fuji says that adapters are in the works for other mounts. Now, the GFX Eterna draws on Fuji's Eterna film line and marks Fuji's first large format digital cinema camera, right in time for the highest demand pro video productions to get started. So do you think that medium format kind of changes the equation for filmmakers? Let me tell you, I just finished watching last night, and I'm not going to tell you the name of the movie. I want to know down in the comments if you can guess what movie I'm talking about. Released in 1991. Shot in Super 35, which was a departure for the rest of the series of this whole set of movies. There are a ton of movies in this series. This is the first one shot on Super 35, traditionally shot on Panavision anamorphic, obviously in film. 1991, let me know down in the comments if you can guess what movie I'm talking about. It's a phenomenal movie. Beautiful. Looks amazing. Super 35. But also on the Fuji side of things, on the business side this time, we're seeing a different move on pricing. According to The Verge, Fujifilm is moving to increase camera prices by as much as $800. This comes amid regulatory and supply pressures and will impact a variety of Fuji camera models. And this isn't a surprise. We're seeing this with all the other brands. Right, these moves aren't isolated. Sony and Canon have also made price increases. But as we'll talk about next, Sigma is actually telling a different story. So Sigma has confirmed in an internal email that they will not increase US prices, despite the latest tariffs on goods imported from Japan and elsewhere. Photo Rumors is reporting that this policy comes as Fuji, Sony, and Canon have implemented a plan for additional price hikes. And Sigma's stance will stand out in the market for value-oriented lens manufacturers. I love Sigma lenses. I'm shooting on a Sigma lens right now. Lastly, let's take a deep dive into some sensor tech. We've got some info out of Sony that I think might surprise a handful of folks, especially when it comes to image quality. So according to both Sony Alpha Rumors and Petapixel, Sony has presented to investors and discussed ongoing work on a triple layer designed sensor for future Alpha cameras. Now, current Sony high-end sensors, like the one in the A1 and the A9, feature stacked technology with two layers, a photodiode layer and a that captures light, and then you have a transistor layer, which is where most of the processing is done. And when they're stacked together like that, when they're that close, and that information doesn't need to travel super far, then honestly, you get a lot more speed. But Sony's roadmap adds a third layer with a long-term goal for boosting performance in both sensitivity and processing speed. Now, in Sony's research presentation, which is tied to their strong 2024 financial performance, they described expanded sensor level processing, which they say should yield significant improvements in their dynamic range, noise characteristics, and faster readout, which Sony is already known for being exceptional at. And while direct resolution increases aren't a part of this third layer's role, stripping out processing bottlenecks could enable higher video resolutions, greater speed, and more features and options being a part of these updated sensors as they hit your cameras. Think about improved autofocus systems, mitigating rolling shutter issues. Sony demonstrated a similar architecture as far back as 2021, and their latest investor updates show that the readiness for mass market products is finally getting rather close, especially as we anticipate the Sony a7 IV, which we're hoping to see in late 2025, potentially being the first camera, the first alpha body, feature this advanced sensor. Now, it's worth noting that Sony remains committed to full frame innovation, even as they push into other sensors. The Sony Sensor group, which they may be trying to spin off, is either the top or one of the top leaders in this space, and their innovation in imaging is coming from all sorts of places. So let me know down in the comments if something like improved sensor readout, better dynamic range, better autofocus, what's the top feature that you would want to see from an improved sensor in a Sony camera? Maybe you just want it to not overheat. But as always, if you want to support what I'm doing here, consider becoming a channel member. It's $1. And if you're looking to book a photo or video session, all the details are down below, including my free mini sessions for the fall, which are going to book up fast. I also have gear and deal lists, including everything that I've talked about here and everything that I use to make my videos and everything that I use out in the field as a photographer. Now, those links do go to help the channel, but as always, the easiest way to support the channel is to hit the like and subscribe button. That's free, and it goes a long way to helping me grow here. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.